with toys until a long age, until I was like 15, until late age. So I was here I was 15 years old, playing with my toys, G.I. Joes, and I will mix all kinds of different toys. And I was ashamed, you know, I would not tell my friends, I would not tell my parents, so sometimes my parents will see and they thought I was crazy. But it was my only way to express storytelling, you know, that's as far as I went. You know, at the age of 16, I stopped playing, and I moved to Austin, Texas, and, you know, when I got there, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't care about learning English. So 5 months into that, one day, I see a film shoot in the streets. And it called my attention a lot. You know, I was looking at it, and I saw the cameras, the lights, and the actors, and, you know, I was drawn to it. And I realized that what they were doing, it was the same thing that I was doing with my toys. Instead of with toys, they were using real people. They were using actors. And, you know, I didn't speak a word of English because I didn't care about it. So even though I was already 5 months, I still didn't know anything. I approached one of the guys, and I asked him, hey, you know, what's this? And, you know, we communicated, like, you know, with sign language, and they told me they were film students and they studied film, and I didn't know you could study film, you know. So they pointed at the University of Texas. You know, if you guys ever been at the University of Texas, is to me one of the biggest. Kept going and going and going. I was just living out of loans and stuff like that. So after all that time of just struggling really hard, you know, I was already used to living on the couch. So I was like, you know what, I'm not going to compromise. You know, I was like, I will feel like I will be literally prostituting myself if I do something that doesn't go in line with what I believe. How am I going to make a film? At the end, it's a form of expression. How am I going to express something that I totally disagree with? So I can't. And one day my brother, I'm in Mexico, and my older brother who owns restaurants, he calls me. He's like, hey man, you should come to the restaurant right now. I'm here with Eduardo Verasti. And, you know, I knew of him very well, and we were from the same town. He was really good friends with my older brother. So, you know, I know Eduardo since I was a kid, but just know of him. You know, he would come to my house a couple of times, but, you know, he was not my friend. He was my older brother's friend. And at that time, you know, I was more in the rebel side. You know, I didn't like commercial films or anything. I actually was like angry at Hollywood. So I would only make films that explore more on the kind of like the dark side of humanity. And at that time, you know, I was not too excited about meeting Eduardo because, you know, I knew he was more in the line of making commercial films and, you know, more on the commercial side. But Eduardo, my brother, told me one thing. He's like, you know what, you should talk to him because he's in a place that kind of like you guys speak the same language. He really wants to, in a way, do things that impact the world in positive ways. So that really caught my attention. I said, whoa, I'll be there in 5 minutes. So I went in there, and we met at my brother's restaurant, and we started talking, and we connected right away, and we found out that we're in the same philosophies. And however, he kind of was like already ready to give it up if he was not attached to it anymore. He was ready to, like, you know what, he was like ready not to compromise ever. And if that meant never to work, he was ready to just move on. And I think he wanted to move to the jungle and make a difference in the jungle. And he has a very interesting story about that he will tell. And we started talking on the phone and trying to find a project. Finally, he finds a project. He's like, hey, what about this? So he sends me the project. I read the project, and I liked it. I said, well, let's do this. So perfect. So come, you got to move to LA, man, to do this. It's okay. I packed everything on my car, and I drive to LA. In my drive from Austin to LA, which is 2 days, I believe that we human beings don't give ourselves time to think, and because we're always busy. So when you're actually driving, or you're actually like away, we start hearing things, or things that we're supposed to hear, and tell stories that we're supposed to tell. So when I was driving from Austin to LA, Bella comes into mind. Like, I remember driving, and you almost felt like somebody was telling me the story, like feeding me the story. And I was driving, I would pull over, I would cry, and it was very intense. I would keep driving, and the whole drive, the movie Bella just came to my head, all of it from beginning, middle, and end. So I arrived to LA around 4:15, and I got lost for an hour. So I finally arrived into the house around 6 o'clock. Next thing, it's one thing my father always told me was that if you want something to happen, you need to talk to somebody who can make things happen. And he will tell me those sayings since I was a kid, so I apply that in my life, you know. So I walk into the University of Texas and I asked to talk to the head of admissions at the time. And with my little English I had, I spoke to her and I told her like 4 words, kind of like me, dream, film, here. And of course, you know, she laughed, she thought it was cute, but she said, hey, you know, first you have to apply, second you have to learn English, third you have to have a GPA of 3.5, and fourth, we're overbooked right now. We're at the admissions are like that year and I didn't care. I said, this is where I'm going to go. And, you know, I knew that there was going to be 2 ways to get in. One way was the ordinary way that everybody does. And the other way was going to be my way. And I discovered that my way, the only way, was going to be to really show that person who could really get me in my passion for film. And I was going to demonstrate her that I was going to do everything I could to be able to do the requirements. So I started applying, and I got rejected 3 times. And I transferred my, so the way I was going to pay for that, I say, you know, I don't need an apartment if I'm going to be working in school at night. So I used my dorm money to pay for the film stock. And I found a couch on the 7th floor of the University of Texas where the teachers get their mail. And I decided I was going to sleep in there and take a shower and, you know, at the gym at the University of Texas. I'm just going to live here and work. So I became homeless for the whole semester, and I was just working. And at the end of the class, my film, you know, which was called Bocho, was my first short film, ended up breaking the record at the class, because it was the first time filmmaker ever to win 4 film festivals. So that opened a lot of doors. And at that time, I was really getting into film, not really film, into the technicality of film. You know, what really makes a picture look great. And I realized that the next step up was to shoot on 35, to shoot, you know, 35 millimeter. My first show was shot on 16. So I wanted to automatically jump into 35. And I was reading all the magazines, and everywhere I saw was like the pros, the masters were shooting Panavision. So my dream right there became to shoot my next short film in Panavision. How I was going to do that was part of the journey. So one of the awards that I won with my first film was, first I won 2 awards from Kodak, so I automatically ordered the film stock on 35. And the other award was to do an internship with a big cinematographer for a big feature film in Hamptons. So I went to do that, and after a week, I realized that I was very anxious, because all I was doing is bringing coffee to the cinematographer, and I was seeing it's like they were eating cake in front of me, because, you know, I will see the director and people working, and all I was doing is bringing coffee to the cinematographer. So after a week, as the shoot was like 2.5 months, I only lasted a week. After a week, I talked to the DP. You know, just won a film festival, made my first short film, and he's like, good for you. But how can I help you? And Kodak gave me the film stock. You know, I won awards from Kodak, so I have the film stock on 35, and my dream is to shoot 35, to shoot Panavision, you know, the Rolls Royce of film. He laughs and he's like, okay, good then, but how can I help you? And I was like, well, you know, I was wondering if you could give me a free camera packet. And, you know, Scott looks at Sal, they smile, and he looks at me, he's like, they could not believe their ears. They're like, oh, okay, and what else would you like? Would you like, same joke, you know, would you like a 10-ton truck? And he added, he's like, would you like a Teamster and a dolly, and, you know, why don't you add some lights into there? I'm like, oh, that would be great. Of course, the guys, and then he's like, how many days would you like it? And I'm like, well, you know, I was thinking 14, 15 days. I mean, right now, like, you know, people ask for those kind of favors maybe for a day or two, if they even give it to them. I mean, I was asking for like almost like a feature-length film. You know, my short was like, it was a short film, but I like to shoot 1 page a day, which is important for later on the story with Bella. So same thing happened, 7 pages. We shot everything in 5 days. The chef became the lead actor, and I became an actor, and I started using again people from the streets, and we rewrote the script. And in my head, I was like, at least the dream was to shoot 35. Let's just shoot something, you know. So we shot one take per our ratio was 1:1, and you know, we finished the film, go back to Austin, and you know, I think all my footage was like 10 minutes, and the film is 9:30. So I literally used every shot that I shot. So I was not like, and I sent it to the first film festival. It was Hamptons, and we win. We win one of the best short films, best student short film. And then after that, I sent it to another festival. So we ended up winning 7 film festival, and we sold it to PBS. So it was a great success because, you know, I didn't even think we had a film. So after that, things started, you know, happening in a way that, you know, I started kind of like still in film school, but I was able to develop a really cool relationship with Panavision. So they sponsored me 3 times in a row. My second short, they sponsored me again. But something happened, that's how I ended up in here. And I realized that I didn't move to LA to make a film. I moved to LA to make a team. And I wanted to work with Eduardo for the mere reason that we were in the same path. So he passed on the film, I passed on the film. And all of a sudden it's just me and him, and we opened a production company. So of course it's a dream because it's just me and him, and you know, I was staying on his couch. So there was no, and we had 1 cell phone. And that was our production company. And, you know, after a couple of months of struggling, we met our third partner, Leo Severino. And we met him on a parking lot, and we started talking in the same, and it was like the project kind of was like meant to happen because everything just came together. And we made the film. We made the film with very, very small budget, very little money. It's kind of like trying to buy a house in Beverly Hills with $50,000. That's kind of our situation. What was our situation in New York City? And it was very important for me to shoot in New York. So we finished the film. It was a truly miracle. Like a lot of miracles happened through the film, through the shot, through the shoot. It was very, very disappointment because we waited for like 4 or 5 months, and we got in. So to us, getting into the festival was our biggest dream. I just remember saying, like, I'll be happy just to see official selection of Toronto. That's all I need. And you know, we all went to Toronto to support the film. And you know, I remember my wife. You know, my wife was very excited, and she had her hopes really high. And she's like, "So, can we win?" I'm like, "Look, put it this way. It is easier for gold to reign than for us to win. Simple as that. There's all the big films are here, all the big celebrities, Brad Pitt, everybody was there. It's impossible for us to win, so don't even think about that. Don't even go there. Don't even go there." So, you know, we start screening the film, but one thing that I did notice that at our second screening, I remember showing up to the theater, and the line was like all around the theater. And I was really worried because I talked to the programmer, and I'm like, you know, who's this film? You know, like, nobody's going to come to our film. You know, look at the line. And she's like, that's the line for your film. And I was like, whoa. So I realized that that the word of mouth was crazy, because the next day, the next screening was packed, and the next screening, we had 3 screenings, the 3 of them were sold out. It was like skeptical, and then the guy is like, and the People's Choice Award goes to Bella, Alejandro Monteverde. I remember I was walking, and they were, you know, the people around me, they were like, dude, like just as I was walking, like, hey, about God or anything. I said, yeah, don't worry about it. So I go in the top of the of the podium, pick up the mic, and I'm seeing everybody, man. I just remember, like, this is a dream. Like, I'm thinking I'm going to wake up. I literally thinking that I'm going to wake up at the couch at the University of Texas, waking up and still have not made my first film, you know, like Bocho. So I'm thinking, oh, this is a dream. I pick up the mic, and I'm looking at everybody, and the only word that came to my mind was, I just want to thank God. And everybody was just like, you know, that's all I think. That's the only person I could thank. I said, I just want to thank God. And well, people have a lot of hopes. You know, I like to my Oscar. It's somebody coming to me, which I already won 2 Oscars, and telling me, you know what, your film changed my life and changed who I am today. So I had 2 people already tell me that from the deepest of their heart, with tears in their eyes. That's my Oscars. That's my living Oscar. Everything else is a recognition. You know, of course, I'll be extremely excited to go to the Oscars, but I'm not living to the expectations. You know, I'm living more to show the film to people and to make an impact on them. And that, to me, is the goal of my film, is to touch people's hearts.